A lot of artists get overlooked, not because their music's not great, or the performances aren't great, or they're not a great singer or great musician. They get overlooked because they don't have a compelling story. Hey there, it's Michael Whalen, and this is the Artist Expansion Podcast. This is episode number 27, and I am here in the studio, but I am sitting behind my drums versus usually I have, keyboards behind me, but not today. Someone said, hey, can you give your drums some love? Well, here I am. I actually started as a drummer. I started drum lessons when I was 5, and then I switched to keyboards later, junior high school, going into high school, and but drums are my first love, and I have my funny little drum set here. I have my Simmons SDS8s here that I had, when I was in college, and then I have these Yamaha DTX 8s, which are terrific, and I've done a lot of recording with them, and they sound great, and they feel great, and in a house, sometimes having acoustic drums doesn't really work, but these work for me. And so here we go. Let me sum up what we're going to talk about in one little couplet here. Great music can get attention, but a great narrative will make people remember you. So in a streaming environment, people will love the song, and a lot of time, I don't have a statistic, but a lot of time, more than 50% of the time, they don't even know who the artist is. Oh yeah, I like the song. Well, who did it? Oh, I don't know. So they don't have a relationship with you, the person who created the song. What they have is, I like the song, I like how it feels. I like driving to it. I like, vacuuming my house to it, whatever. Here's the bottom line. Great music is not always enough. Sorry. Bad news first. Great music is not always enough. A lot of artists get overlooked, not because their music's not great, or the performances aren't great, or they're not a great singer or great musician. They get overlooked because they don't have a compelling story. There's no narrative there to have people go, oh, wow, that's interesting. And have them stop and go, oh, and then they connect with you. So then you go from just being kind of this disembodied song to being a human who created this, who feels things and expresses things, and off you go. So people don't just respond to your music. They respond to what it means. What did it mean to you when you were creating it? What was your inspiration when you made it? What was that spark of creativity that had you go, yeah, I need to do this? What was the backstory behind it? So I wrote this song called I've Loved You for 1,000 Lifetimes. It has many hundreds of millions of streams on many platforms. And people have asked me over and over again, oh, who did you write that for? Honestly, when I recorded it in 2004 at the power station, Malcolm Pollock was my engineer. I was in Studio A. Yamaha had gotten me this beautiful 9-foot grand piano. Beautiful. With MIDI on it. Beautiful. And I was single. I had gotten divorced. I was single. I think as a human, sometimes you open doors to things and you don't even know that you did. Because not even 3 years later, I met the woman who I married in 2010, and now we've been together for almost 20 years. She's the love of my life. So in a way, it's like I was writing into the future, meeting her, getting married, having a home, having a house. So right there, I've given you an example of sharing something that's real for me, a narrative about probably the most important song of my career. You see the difference between simply being like, here's a pretty song, and here's the inspiration. Here's where it came from. Here's where it came from for me, your truth. There's a big difference between telling people something, you're on the soapbox, and sharing. There's a big difference. Sharing is you're opening yourself up and you are telling people your authentic truth, your authentic story, such that what opens up for them is their truth. So when you are sharing and you're sharing effectively, they have something open up for them in their life. So obviously, my story is not going to be anything like your story, but maybe part of me sharing something will open up something for you. So part of creating a great narrative is knowing the difference between telling somebody something, screaming it, preaching, proselytizing at people. There are times where people are sharing things and it comes off very slick. It comes off very, very, very slick. It comes off very like, hey, let me share with you, and I'm going to be all kind of emotional with you. Okay, so let me give you a tool that will help you. If you're sharing and you're a little bit nervous about what it is you're sharing, meaning how is it going to occur over there with the people who are getting what it is you're sharing? You're probably okay. If you are like performing your share, hey, let me tell you all about my song, then you're not sharing. Then you're probably virtue signaling, you are being a jerk, you're not actually sharing. You're being media trained and it's awful and disgusting, and please don't do that. I think one of the places that you guys might get a little bit off the trail here is this idea that your story, your narrative, and your brand are the same thing. Your story and your brand are not the same thing. Who you are as a brand and the story and the narrative can be related, but they're not the same thing. Let me try to do this as simply as I can, because I'm a little bit old-fashioned about branding, and there's people talk about branding so much, and I think a lot of it is just ridiculous. But okay, the example that I always use is, imagine you're in a supermarket and you're walking down an aisle and you see all the products and you look at products over here and you look at products over there, and you have associations with all of these different products. Some of them you use now, some of them you remember from when you were a kid, some of them you have no idea what they are. Some of them you saw a billboard for, some of them you saw an ad for. Some of them are your favorite thing ever. You have associations and you're walking down an aisle. Okay. Those associations are largely how you hold those products as brands. Essentially, what do you make these things mean to you, the consumer? Now you're on Spotify and you're looking at all these different recordings coming by, and singles and albums and EPs, and you're seeing all this stuff. And you know some of these artists, and some of them you don't know, and some of them you have heard of, but you have really no idea, and maybe somebody talked about something, who knows? But you have associations. So the idea is that your brand is how people associate with you. So here's an example from my life. So my brand is that I am a romantic pianist. because so much of my most popular music is piano or piano based, piano with synths and stuff, or, piano with other instruments. So people have me as a pianist, and for decades, I've been like, I'm not a pianist, I'm a composer who plays the piano. And so at a certain point, I had to get over the fact that I could not actually change who I am as brand, because people had associations with me. They had an association. They say, okay, this is who you are. Tom Cruise, he's an action star. Okay, so what if he wanted to do nothing but comedies going forward? Now, he has done some. Tropic Thunder, one of the best movies ever. But he's not associated with being a comedic actor. I am associated with the piano in a way that I cannot change. So when I release something, when I talk about something, it's either I'm going with the association of being a pianist, or I'm going against it on purpose. So if I do a synth album, or I do a jazz fusion album, or I'm going against the association that people have of me as a pianist. And so very often I will say, hey, well, you know me from my piano stuff. You should go check this out. It's got, great melodies. And yes, I'm playing piano, but, there's, bass and drums and stuff, and check it out. Most people fail to identify their brand because they disagree with the association that the world has for them and their music. I'll give you a second with that one. Artists fail because they won't accept their brand. I had a hard time accepting my brand. I was like, guys, I am not a pianist. Not even a little bit. Oh my God. Stop talking about this stuff. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, because my justification for it was, I know so many great pianists, concert pianists, and, people who have really done their 10,000 and 20,000 hours and the lessons and the practicing and the performances. I haven't done any of that. Now, I have played the piano while I'm writing, and I have the worst hand position of ever, because when people look at my hands when I'm playing the piano, they're like, dude, your hand position's terrible. I'm like, I know. Because no one really taught me how to play, and I took what I had learned from marimba and xylophone. Here you go. Here are my mallets. Put them flat on the piano. Off I go. See how I'm sharing myself? See how I'm opening up and I am relating to you guys in a way where you're beginning to kind of know me and you're understanding what's going on with me? This is what you need to do. The difference between telling somebody something and sharing something. If you tell somebody, it's arrogant. Like, I know myself so well, I'm going to tell you about me. I have no idea about myself. In a world where I embrace my brand, I don't know anything. Because that brand association is way bigger than anything that I can do to break it. And if I try to break it, people go, what are you doing? You're a piano guy. What are you doing? You're a piano guy. Be a piano guy. So every couple of years, I'll do a piano project and everybody's really happy. Yay, wow, you did some piano. Yay. Then I'll go off and do some other stuff, and then I'll come back and do some piano. Yay, you're doing some piano. But, because I have finally, it's taken me 35 years, I have finally accepted that I'm a piano guy. Like, I wanted to be a composer, and then I could use synthesizers or use orchestras or bands or whatever, and I could do that. It's not how it worked out. I did this album, it totally exploded. So, you can be, wow, Michael, you're complaining about being successful. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that as you start looking at what your brand is, it's not what you think it is. The only way you can actually figure out what your brand is, here comes, is by asking people. Because you yourself will argue with it. Your assessment of yourself, your version of yourself, what you have in your head has nothing to do with the reality of what you are associated with. So let's go back to how are you going to create yourself with a narrative, a story, sharing, and how it's going to be interrelated with who you are as a brand. Because if I am a pianist and I am telling stories about the piano, what am I doing? I'm reinforcing my brand. I'm reinforcing it. The world's going to go, oh, there he goes. Oh, yeah, I know that guy. Oh, yeah. He does that pretty music. Yeah. I know that guy. If I do a death metal record, people will go, I don't understand. Why did you do that? Now, I can create a compelling narrative for how I got to death metal from doing, ambient romantic piano. I don't know how it's going to work. I think I'm probably going to have two audiences. So you want to look for yourself. Are you going with your brand or are you going against your brand? Are you going with your brand or are you going against your brand? When I'm coaching people through Artist Expansion, and if you want to look into working with me one-on-one, I highly recommend that you do. You can go to artistexpansion.com and check it out. I have questions that operate in the background when I'm working with people. And I've never even really told my clients this, but I'm going to tell you as part of this podcast because I think it's going to help kind of lay some stuff out. As you're thinking about the narrative about you, the narrative about your music, your new album, your performances, what inspires you, why do you create, why do you play the guitar the way you do, why do you sing the way you do, whatever. 6 questions. Who are you beyond your genre? Now, if you read my blog on Medium, which I recommend that you do, because there's a lot of good information and I talk a lot about what's happening in the industry. A while ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote an article about the death of genre. And so this might be a funny question for those of you who have kind of either been my clients or you know me or you know my coaching, because I know that the people I'm working with are still thinking of their music in terms of genre, style. Who are you beyond your genre? Who are you? So if you're a jazz guy, and jazz has got to be one of the biggest loaded terms in all of music, who are you beyond being a jazz guy? What do you consistently write about? So now that I live in a house on the water, I write about nature all the time. If you saw my 2024 album, Watercolor Sky, the entire thing is dedicated to being in this incredibly beautiful place. And I am inspired by nature. I'm inspired by my wife. I'm inspired by my life. I am filled with gratitude. That's what I consistently write about. What do you consistently write about? Now, I have worked with people who are like, I don't consistently write about anything. I'm like, oh, so you're just jumping from topic to topic to topic. Impossible. Impossible. It's impossible. There's going to be either a point of view. Ooh. There's going to be the voice of wherever your lyric is coming from. There's going to be a sound. There's going to be like your approach to harmony. There's going to be your approach to melody, or both. What do you consistently write about? What shaped your voice as an artist? Or, if you're a singer, I'm definitely not a singer, but what shaped your voice? What shaped your sound? What shaped it? I have so many influences for myself as an artist. And if you listen to my music, you can probably hear a bunch of them. What shaped your voice, your sound, your vibe? What do you want people to feel when they encounter your work? So you may or may not know that I have had a very long career in film and TV. I have scored many hundreds of things. And one of the arguments I would always have with directors is this idea of emotional manipulation in a scene, especially if you're doing a documentary. And so is the music in here to make people feel something? Or is the music in here to highlight something? Is the music here to give context to something? Are we pushing the wall out on something? What are we doing? What's the role of music in this situation? So that's one aspect of this. If you're writing emotional songs, what do you want people to feel? So if you watched a couple of episodes ago when I said write music for yourself, you will know that my answer to that question is, I don't care what you feel. I don't care. I only care what I feel when I hear my music, because I'm writing music for me. I'm writing music for me. So are you writing music for you, or are you writing music for something else? Are you writing music so you'll be appreciated and liked and loved and all that other nonsense? Like the validation thing it's poison, guys. It really is. It's so much more authentic to say, I'm writing music for myself. And if people like it, terrific. But you want to be looking for yourself. Do you want people to feel something when they listen to your music? And what is it? It will tell you a lot about what your actual motivations are with your music. So if you're coming out with an album, an EP, a single, a video, a concert, whatever, why does this project matter now? Why now? Why are you releasing it now and not a year from now or 5 years from now? Why now? Is it because it just happens to be the thing? I've had lots of projects where I've had it sitting on a shelf for years, not ready to come out. Maybe part of it was I wasn't ready to release it, but maybe it wasn't ready. Maybe it wasn't like kind of part of my narrative. Maybe, wait, here it comes. Maybe it's not really part of who and what I want my brand to be about. Maybe it's going so far against my brand that this isn't the right time for it. When you are so comfortable with who you are as your brand, you can start making strategic decisions around your career based on your brand. When you start doing that, you start making some really good choices, because now you're no longer forcing things down the throats of your fans. What you're doing is you're on their side and you see yourself through their eyes, and you can do something against your brand. You can go in a different direction or do something different, but you got to put it in context. So they will come with you. If not, you will lose them, or they will wait patiently until you get your act together and you do something that they're actually wanting you to do on brand. And this last question, the sixth question, is, I think it's a big one, because I think for a lot of artists, it's a pretty close to impossible question to answer. It usually makes artists feel very defensive and very kind of like on the spot. What makes your perspective as an artist different? I'm going to do this again. What makes your perspective different? How are you looking at the world differently than the other 9 zillion people who do music that sounds similar to what you do? that will be really helpful in terms of creating your narrative and creating shares as you begin to kind of create stuff around an album, a single, whatever it is you're releasing. Very often, my clients at Artist Expansion, we have the branding conversation. They struggle. We start talking about using their brand as a lens to look at their career through. And then we start talking about narrative. We start talking about social media. We start talking about how do you want to put yourself out there? And then they start asking questions like, you mean, so this is just about social media? No, absolutely not. So this has got to show up on your website. This has got to show up in your bio. This has got to show up in every interview you ever do. This has got to show up in how you want to be reviewed. This has got to show up on the one sheets that you send to radio when you're releasing something. You're beginning to get kind of the scope of what we're talking about here. This isn't like, hey, let me tell you a story about my music. This is, I am creating a narrative and I am stepping into it because it is the authentic version of my inspiration and why I create and the spark of things and all that stuff in such a way where it inspires me. And I really hope I create a connection between me and the listener. This narrative also comes into things like, how are you going to market? Because if you know what your brand is, then doing a very, very aggressive release strategy, marketing strategy, when you are somebody like me, a romantic pianist, is really weird. So I tend to go much softer with how I market my stuff because I know what my brand is. I know how I'm associated. I'm okay with it. So we covered a lot. We went deep today. And as I started this conversation, I want to come back to where I started this from. Okay? Great music can get attention. But it's a compelling story that has people remember you. What's your story? What do you want to say? What's your purpose? What gets you excited authentically? Getting artists to share is really tough. And I have worked at this a long time. And I've also worked at it so I'm not slick about it. I'm just honest and authentic about it. It's still raw for me. When I'm sharing about it, even now, there's like a little twinge of, have I gone too far? Now I know that I'm on the right track. I know that I'm in the right place because I'm a little bit nervous. A little bit. It's not about being slick. It's not about being buttoned up. It's about being real. It's about being authentic. It's about telling people who you are. I really hope this has helped.